So I actually got to watch at another conference Sam and his sister Charisse present on leadership, and it was so impactful, and their candor was just really fresh and made it very engaging. And they left little cards on the seats when we were leaving the session. And I grabbed one of those and I went straight back to the office and I found Kevin and I said, this person has to come speak. So we're just so grateful that he's here. And it's Dr. Sam Nix, and he is Chief of Schools at Duncanville Independent School District. And he is an award-winning educator who's worked at multiple levels in the education system as teacher, coach, assistant principal, and principal. All the hard roles out there. While serving as principal at Seguin High School, the campus achieved status as a national model school by the National Association of Black School Educators and was named as one of the top 32 urban schools in America by the National Center for Urban School Transformation. Awesome job. That deserves some applause right there. For sure. So the school also ranked in the top 10% of comparable schools in the state of Texas for 4 consecutive years under his leadership. He was awarded Principal of the Year in 2015, 2016 in Arlington ISD. Dr. Nix has been awarded a Leadership in Education Award from the Texas House of Representatives, the Mary McLeod Bethune Heritage Award for Education by the NAACP in 2010, the Dr. June James NAACP Education Award in 2016, the Leadership Legacy Award from the Future Schools Network in 2019, and he was also nominated for the Martin Luther King Jr. Service Award in Education. Dr. Nix is an award-winning author of Ensure Educational Success, a book that offers innovative and common sense strategies for leading a school culture where teachers and students thrive. So let's give Dr. Nix a round of applause. We're so excited.
You guys hear me okay? All right, let's get started. I'm sorry, I have some props down here. Give me a second. Yeah. You know, when they read that bio, oftentimes you ask yourself, who did all that? And I want to thank my mother and father for giving me all of the spankings that they gave me growing up. Yeah. And I got a lot, yeah. I got a lot. Everybody in this room knows what this is. Everybody in this room uses this. If you don't know what this is, and if you don't use this, just keep smiling and nodding, and nobody will know what you're doing, right? This small disposable resource has been the catalyst of many arguments. Some of you are GT, right? Many fights, dare I say, many divorces, right? Because of one question. And I'm going to ask you that question. What's the right way to put a toilet tissue on a toilet roll? Do me a favor. Turn to your neighbor and listen. Tell them what the right way to put tissue on a roll is. Go. All right. Stop the fights. I see somebody about to fight over here. Stop that. Okay. How many people feel like the right way to put toilet tissue on a roll is over? Right? How many wrong people, let me back up. How many people feel like, the right way to do this is under? Do we have any unders in it? Stand up under. Yes. Yeah, give under a hand, please. Yeah. The fact that it's one of you standing up should let you know you're wrong. No, I'm just playing. I'm just playing. I'm just playing. I'm sorry, that should have been up 2 minutes ago when I started. I'm not here to talk to you, just to talk to you today, but I'm here to challenge your thinking, and I'm here to challenge your perspective, okay, when it comes to connecting the dots in the political landscape when we're looking about and talking about perspective. Just like we talked about that toilet tissue, some of us actually, and we laughed, but it's actually a thing. If that toilet paper is under and you go in and you believe that it should be what? Because by golly, they're wrong and you are. So I'm here to talk to you today a little bit about perspective. I'm not here to tell you what you should believe. I'm not here to tell you who you should vote for. I'm not here to tell you that you're right or that you're wrong. But the topic of this keynote is the power of perspective, connecting the dots in the political landscape. So I'm here to talk a little bit about what to do when politics comes up in the conversation. And for those of you who are living under a rock, in education, a lot of politic talk. In our local school boards, there's a lot of politic talk. In our nation, there's a lot of politic talk. And it's dividing us. Let's face it, navigating through the political landscape these days is not easy. Politics has always been a passionate subject. It's supposed to be a passionate subject. Politics affects our lives. Politics affects our children. Politics affects our beliefs, our values, our futures, our families. It's supposed to be passionate. The problem is, our American democracy is built on our ability to discuss and to debate and to talk in ways that we can find solutions to our biggest problems. That's how we were built. We have a problem, we have an issue, we've got to be able to talk through it. We've got to be able to relate. What democracy is. But our country's become so divided. Our nation has become so divided. Our school districts have become so divided. Board meetings have become so divided. So toxic that it threatens the very nature of our democracy. And unfortunately, it's impacting education in such a way that great leaders are tired and they're leaving. Educators are leaving. And ultimately, we're not able to do what's best for kids. Because in today's climate, people no longer see their political opponents as simply misguided or as wrong. They see them as bad people whose ways of thinking are dangerous. And by golly, they're absolutely not just wrong, but it's incomprehensible. We see people that we disagree with as our enemy. This level of mistrust, this level of vitriol not only makes it hard to have productive conversations, it makes it difficult for us to move forward as a nation, move forward as a community, move forward as a school district, move forward for children. This level of polarization, it degrades our public discourse. It erodes our trust in each other, and most of all, it harms our relationships, and it makes it harder and harder for us to empathize with each other, and easier for us to dehumanize each other. In 1960, if you were born before 1960, raise your hand. All three of you, thank you very much. In 1960, 4% of Americans across the political divide said that they would be angry or mad or frustrated if their son or their daughter married someone of the opposing political party? Well, there was another study done in 2022. 45% of Democrats, 35% of Republicans said that they would be mad, angry, upset, frustrated. Their son or their daughter married someone of the opposite political party. And a recent study done in 2023, 15% of all Americans across the political divide stated that the nation would be a better place if members of the opposing political party just died. Clearly, we need to find a better way to relate to people that we disagree with. But here's the first point for consideration. First thing I'm asking us just to consider. We don't have to agree. That's the point. You don't have to agree. I know that y'all looking at me because it's hard when people don't agree with you. It's hard to be friends. It's hard to connect with. It's hard to relate to when people don't agree with you. But first point, you don't have to agree. Look at your neighbor and say, we don't have to agree. Look at your other neighbor and say, I never agree with you anyway. No. Look, we don't have to change our positions. We don't have to change our positions, and we don't have to arrive at some centrist compromise, right? But we do have to change how we think about conflict. And ladies and gentlemen, this is an education conference, and let me tell you, there's plenty of conflict in education. And we have to change how we approach dealing with conflict. And ultimately, we have to change how we treat one another in conflict. Many of us have seen this image, the image of a blind man or blind person and an elephant. And the reason I put this there is because I want you to understand that it is possible that there are multiple perspectives of a thing. And it is possible that multiple perspectives are valid. You know, just because someone thinks that an elephant is a rope doesn't make them wrong. Their experience, what they smell, what they're touching, what they're feeling, what their experience is their experience. It just may be they don't have the whole what. And just because you think an elephant is a fan doesn't make you wrong. Your experience, that's the part of the whole. But see, we understand sometimes that we think that our part is the what. So we'll talk to people like our part is the what. And we'll judge people like our part is the what. Some of you are looking at me, but you don't scare me because I love you. And I realize that I don't have the whole, and neither do you. But together, we can figure it out. Two things can be valid because there are multiple perspectives. My father was a pastor for over 45 years. Pastored the same church. And in this particular church that he pastored, there's a game room upstairs. And my father made a grave mistake putting a Pac-Man machine at church upstairs. And for those of you who don't know, my sister and I grew up with a drug problem, unfortunately, or fortunately. Yeah. It was serious. My parents drug us to church every night, Monday, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays. It was a real thing, okay? And my sister and I, when we were supposed to be praying and supposed to be singing and supposed to be listening to the word, very often sneak upstairs to play Pac-Man. That's probably why my sister's so messed up today. Y'all pray for her, please. Yeah. But we played Pac-Man and played Pac-Man. It became a favorite pastime of ours. And over COVID, my sister and I stay in the same city. Over COVID, my sister purchased a Pac-Man machine. You know, one of these new stand-up things you put in your house. And she would call me and just tell me how good she was and how there's no way I was going to ever be able to beat her score. So I would go over, and by golly, she had a high score. Now, I would go over during COVID, and I would play the first round and restart it. And then play the first round, restart it. And then play the first round again and restart it. And my sister came and she said, "You're so stupid. You'll never beat my score. Restarting this round over and over and over. What are you doing?" And I said in my most big brother, erudite and scholarly voice, "Oh, dear little sister, I'm not trying to beat your score right now. What I'm trying to do is trying to learn the patterns of the ghost." Because see, what I know is that when it comes to Pac-Man, the Pac-Man that we used to play back at the church, that was the real Pac-Man. Y'all know the joystick that you could do anything to and it always bounced right back to where it's supposed to be? That Pac-Man, you know? The one that lasted, right? But those Pac-Mans had a particular CPU, particular processor. And the ghosts had particular algorithms that they followed. And on this new computer, new CPU, it wasn't like the old. So I would start over because I was trying to find out, and I told my sister Sharice, I'm trying to learn how these ghosts move. So I know how to navigate. You know, in leadership, most people say, I don't want to be in leadership because I don't want to have to deal with the what? Politics. And I got news, just anyone in here that's saying that or thinking that, just keep this in mind. You don't have to deal with politics. Well, politics will deal with you. Yeah, don't vote. That doesn't mean that you're not going to be affected by the decisions and the agenda of the people that did get voted in office. So just because you excuse yourself from something doesn't mean you're not impacted by the consequence of that thing. Politics is a part of our everyday life. So with my sister, what you didn't know, some of you didn't know, guys, just a real quick thing, you know, the ghosts have different characteristics and personalities. For example, did you know that the red ghost, his name is Shadow, but he has a nickname called Blinky? Did you know that? Yeah, some of you knew that. Some of my gamers out here knew that, right? And the pink ghost, his name is Speedy, but he's got a nickname, Pinky. So the red ghost is named what? Blinky. The pink ghost is called what? Pinky. The blue ghost is called what? Inky. Did you know that? Yeah, and the orange ghost, guess what the orange ghost is called? Who said that? Clyde. Who in the world named Blinky, Inky, Pinky, and Clyde? Yes. That's their real names, and you are my new favorite person, right? Here's what we have to realize, and I promise I'll tie this together. Here's what we have to realize. Some of us don't know. Did you know that in Pac-Man, regardless of the algorithm, the red ghost is always scheduled or programmed to come directly at Pac-Man? The pink ghost is, the algorithm is to go 32 pixels ahead of where Pac-Man's mouth is facing. Inky, the blue ghost, has a fixed position for which he's in. And Clyde is random, just like his name. Well, think about this for a second, because we all have people like this in our lives. We all have people that come directly at us and always are telling us their opinion direct, and always, whatever we're doing, they're coming directly at us. That's the red ghost. So you know that if you go in a corner, red's coming directly for you. That's why it's called Shadow. We all have people in our life like the pink ghost, right? Like Pinky, that no matter where we're going, they're always headed in front of us to try to cut us off because they don't want to see us progress. We have people in our life like Pinky that no matter what they say to us, they're always trying to say something to derail us so that we don't get to where we're trying to go. That's political agendas. We all have people in our life like Inky that we're doing well as long as we stay out of their territory. But if we start doing too well or start getting into too many areas and start doing it, then they have a problem, they're coming for us. And we all have people like Clyde who you don't know what they're going to do. One day they're supporting you, the next day they're talking about you, one day they're in your corner, the next day they're over here, one day, and it's frustrating because you don't know what's going on, but by studying the landscape and understanding how they move and understanding their patterns and understanding how they maneuver through this particular algorithm, not only did I match her score, I wiped it off the planet. Yes. What I'm talking to you about today is just how do we navigate through the political landscape? Because here's the deal. We need more understanding. We need more trust. And we need more empathy. You may not click with anything I'm saying today, but let me say this to you. We need more understanding. We need more trust. And we need more empathy. And if you don't believe that, I love you. You're wrong. All right. All of which build the foundation needed to find common ground. Guys, we have to find common ground. So what should you do when you find yourself facing a difficult political situation, conversation, difficult political challenge? Well, the first thing that you should do is keep in mind this. You're probably not going to be able to change the other person's mind. If you go into a conversation immediately trying to tell the other person that they're wrong, or tell them that their position is flawed, or tell them that they're foolish, they're immediately going to get defensive. Now, see, all of this is common sense, but see, things that are common sense oftentimes aren't done. Because oftentimes we're led by our beliefs and our values, and sometimes our beliefs and our values lead us to do things like talk to people like they're dumb. And when this happens, the other person's going to try to shut the conversation down. They're going to get defensive. We're not going to get anywhere. It's going to be full of mistrust. And we're going to leave the conversation no better than we came into it. But turn to your neighbor, and I want you to say it in such, you know how you say something and spit just comes all out? Just let it all out. Say, if. Turn to your neighbor and say, if. I didn't see any spit flying. Try it again. Turn to your neighbor and say, if. Turn to your other neighbor and say, wipe that off. Turn to your other neighbor and say, if. We're here, we're learning, we're growing. If is one of the most powerful words in English. If is a key. I didn't say the key, but it's a key. One of my favorite teachers said, if my people, who are called by what? My name, would humble themselves. If is powerful. And too often we forget about the if because we're so worried about being right. If we go into conversations willing to listen, willing to understand another person's point of view, if we're going into conversations instead of trying to tell them why they're wrong and trying to persuade them and trying to go into a conversation dictatorially, if we're willing to step back and understand, we can move forward with a better understanding of how to treat each other, how to listen to one another, how to get common ground, and how to actually move things forward as a nation or as a committee or as an organization or as a school district. We will actually start to reduce stereotypes, overcome fear and overcome anger, start to build the trust. Because here's the deal. It doesn't make you weak because you understand another person's agenda. It makes you wise. There's a quote attributed to Aristotle. It says, it's the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. I'm going to pause for just a second because I'm going to ask you to talk to a neighbor. I'm going to give you about 30 seconds. It's the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. I'm going to ask you to take 30 seconds. What does that mean to you? Share with the neighbor, 30 seconds. Great conversations. It's the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. And I got a news flash for you guys. I got news flash. Turn to another neighbor and say, news flash. If you didn't know, there's an old song, if you didn't know. I'm not going to point this out, but I said, if you didn't know, now you know. There you go. Now you know. If you didn't know, I'm going to tell you. And see, let me tell you something. I like people around me to tell me the truth. I don't want you around me if my breath stinks, you're not saying anything. And everybody else that's around me keep doing me like this. I'm like, what's wrong with them? And the person I'm supposed to be with to tell me the truth is not saying anything to me because they want to, okay, I want people around me that's going to tell me the truth. I'm about to tell you the truth. Newsflash. You are not the hammer of justice. And everyone who disagrees with you, the nail. Your political party is not the political party of justice. And everyone else, the nail. How you feel about what's going on in schools, you are not the hammer of justice. And everyone who disagrees with you, the nail. There are multiple perspectives. There are some things that we need to get some understandings about. Don't have to agree. How we treat each other and how we navigate through this thing. We need to revisit. One of the biggest problems with social media, it has turned us all into jerks. Yep, tweet something positive. For example, Leslie Lauder wrote a book. And I'm talking about, I am so excited for Leslie. I'm reading her book right now, right? I can't wait to get her to sign it for me. But I tweet out, great book, Leslie. That a way to help educators. That a way to promote leadership and education and make sure kids are doing great. Guess how many retweets it gets? If I would have put on there, Leslie, on page 3 of your book, right? You said, right? We retweet trash. We like things that evoke conflict and emotion. It was just yesterday, a friend of mine, a superintendent in the state of Texas, responded to something that the commissioner said. It has gone viral because all of a sudden, it's what? We're getting so used to being so confrontational because things that are positive and motivative and uplifting don't play to our parties. So what ends up happening is we end up not understanding how to wrestle with the nuances of alternative positions. And what's happening is we're pushing people further and further into their own radical take-no-prisoners attitudes. So, all of that sounds good, Nix. What do we do about it? Well, number one, for your consideration. Say just for consideration. Thank the 4 of you who said that. Let's try the rest of you. Say just for consideration. Number one, consider. When someone's talking to you, summarize their key points. Now, Nix, that sounds good, but I am not going to go around summarizing. So I just want to make sure you said a double mac with cheese and no onions. Is that correct? No, we're not, right? We're not summarizing everything. We're talking about how to navigate through the politics. And there are a lot of ways to do this wrong. One of my favorite books, really one of the best books that changed my life, is a book by a gentleman by the name of Chris Voss. The name of that book is Never Split the Difference. If you have a chance to read that book, order that book, look at that book, look on YouTube, it changed my life. And it taught me how to summarize productively because just repeating what somebody says is not summarizing. And just saying, I heard what you said is not summarizing. But you can imagine, Duncanville High School is the 3rd largest high school in the state of Texas. Okay, we have about 5,000 students enrolled just at the high school. How many upset parents do you think I get, and I'm over the high school, how many parents do you think I get a day? Mad about something. One, when they're coming, they're emotional and they're frustrated and they're passionate. Looks like, sounds like, feels like. I'll say that again. Looks like, sounds like, feels like. And it sounds like you feel as though I'm doing a horrible job with your child. Sounds like you feel that we're letting your child down, we're letting you down. You feel disappointed in me because as a leader, I should know what's going on in every single classroom. You feel disappointed. Did I get that right, Mom? What happens to Mom? She feels what? Heard and understand. See, when people are talking to us about Trump or about Biden or about whoever, even when I just said the word, it evokes emotion. Or about CRT or Black Lives Matter or any other thing that's out there to cause division. Can't move forward if we don't put some of these things into play. Something else to consider. Say consider. What is the other person's experience? See, remember this. Experiences shape beliefs. Beliefs translate into actions, and actions produce results. And oftentimes we want to deal with people's actions and their results, but there's an experience that led them there. Let's see if we can figure it out. It's a lot harder to invalidate a person's experience than it is to invalidate their partisan talking point. So here's some things we should not do. Common sense, but oftentimes we don't do it. Try not to raise your voice and yell at people just because you disagree with them. Here's some things that we should do. When you feel yourself getting frustrated, mad, angry, take a pause. I'm going to ask us to do something real quick. I'm going to ask everyone in this room in just a second to take 2 seconds to breathe through your nose and then 4 seconds to exhale through your mouth. I'm going to count down to 3. 2 seconds into your nose, deep breath, 4 seconds out of your mouth. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Nix, this is the dump. They put you up as a keynote to tell me how to breathe. No. If we want to treat each other better, if we want to do and connect and what's right for kids, if we want to protect our democracy, if we really do want to build a relationship. These are things that although easy and simplistic, we start to do because it helps us to be able to navigate through the political landscape. Another thing not to do, try to avoid gotcha questions. You know, gotcha questions are questions that are designed to make another person look foolish, make another person look dumb, make you look like you're better. I had, once again, a really good teacher, one of my favorite teachers, as a matter of fact, taught me how to deal with people with gotcha questions because these people were very erudite, very scholarly, knew what they were talking about, and they would always ask this man things to just try to get him caught up. I think they were called like the scribes and the Pharisees. So when people ask you gotcha questions or when you're asking other people gotcha questions, just remember, you're not setting yourself up for success. And they're not setting you up for success. Avoid them when you can. I'm not going to read all those. You can take a picture if you want, or if not, just let's move on. And here's another thing, misrepresentation. This happens a lot. Another thing people try to do is they try to take the worst characteristic of a politician or a political party or a political situation and ascribe it to anyone who supports that position. And it's unfair because it's called misrepresentation. And we see it all the time. People do it all the time. And we make assumptions about who someone is because of their political party. We make assumptions of who someone is because they support something that they believe is best for kids or best for people. And we make assumptions about people and we'll categorize those people. And it's not fair. Overall, try to respect the worth and the dignity of the person that you're talking to. Even if the views that they express leave you dumbfounded or leave you appalled. We all have friends or family who don't agree with everything that we agree with. And we want to maintain these relationships. We want to be wise. But here's the thing, guys. If we want to do better for our community and for our land, we will do better to try to empathize than to demonize. You stay in your own little bubble. If you talk to only people who believe like you, if you tweet and Facebook and are in groups with the only people that believe what you think, you're limiting yourself. You're limiting yourself from growing and from hearing and from understanding multiple perspectives. Because here's the deal. We are all beautifully, wonderfully, and uniquely made. We don't all deserve to be right, but we all deserve to be understood. So if you take nothing from our conversation today, people are worth understanding. You are not the hammer of justice. Everyone who disagrees with you, the nail. So by observing these simple principles and practices to begin thinking about conversations as opportunities to learn, to listen, to be heard, rather than just opportunities to win. We can break down the barriers. We can overcome the natural fight or flight responses. We can actually find common ground where it does exist. It does not require us to come to some false centrist compromise. It does not require us to give in, but it does require respect. It does require empathy. It does require courage. All of which are qualities we can cultivate. Repeat after me. If we want to strengthen our relationships. If we want to reduce stereotypes. If we want to bring our nation, our community, and our school districts together. I don't know how many of you can see this, but this is a representation for me. This represents students. Anybody here not like students? Raise your hand, please. Hi, stand up so we can all boo you. No? Okay, thank you. This represents students. I, with all of my beliefs, with all of my values, with all of my opinions, am holding up and believing in students. Can I have a volunteer? Anybody? So much. Come on. I'm championing students. Thank you for volunteering. I'm going to pass the students to you. Okay? She, with all of her beliefs and values and opinions, she's holding up who? She's believing in them. Together, we join in holding up students, in believing in students with our different values and our different proclivities and our different beliefs, and we're holding up students. But just because we're together doesn't mean we're connected. Just because we're standing side by side and both fighting for kids doesn't mean that we're connected. Let's step up. But what were to happen if we were to be connected? See, we think we're getting the best out of kids because we are holding them up. We are fighting for them. We are doing for kids. But see, the kids get the best out of us, out of our nation, out of our communities, out of our school boards when we connect. And I'm going to tell you this, there's no limit to what our children can do when we drop the foolishness, start understanding each other, start connecting with each other. Now, that was cool. What is your name? Can you guys give Lynn a hand? Lynn, stay up here with me. Now, just for kicks and giggles, I'm so honored to have my parents here with me today. It's their 45th wedding anniversary. My mother is to my right and my father's to my left. And they are going to distribute children. And what I'm going to ask you to do is, if you get a child, open that child's potential. I'm going to ask you to connect with another person. All your beliefs, all your values, all the things that you disagree with, I'm just going to ask you to try to find a way to connect to get the best out of the children. So if you get one, if you get a child, open that child up. Open the child up. Go ahead, Dad. Just pass it to anybody. Open that child up and find somebody to connect with. And see if you guys can get one or two, just one other person, see if you can get the best out of kids. Shouldn't take 30 minutes to open the potential child for the child. Only got 12 minutes left. Come on now. So stand up and find somebody to connect with and see if you can get the best out of kids. Liz, would you go down? Would you find someone to connect with and see if you guys can get the best out of kids? Hold on, wait. Nobody told you to stop connecting. Nobody told you to stop connecting. Find somebody to connect with. See if we can make this thing work. See, we're still leaving a lot of people out of the connection. We're still not reaching out. See, we don't want to get in our own circles and leave other people out. What's happening? There's a broken connection somewhere. There's a broken connection somewhere. Look at what is happening. Look at what is happening. Look at what is happening. And I want you to pay attention to this. Look at the energy in the room. Nobody cared about what you disagreed with. Nobody cared about what political party you were. Nobody cared about your belief system. Did you hear the energy? Did you hear the joy? Did you hear all the amazingness that was going on? Did you see what happened? We started connecting and connecting. We were just leaving people out. But then people started joining in. People started connecting. And what started to happen? Together, we got the best and still getting the best out of the children that we serve. And that noise is beautiful because it means connection. I want to encourage you. Keep on with it, yeah. If you leave with nothing today, if we want to get the best out of our children, if we want to turn the state of education around, not hard. We can do it, but it's going to take us to do it. Keep fighting and keep getting the best out of our children. Thank you.